All right, Samsung's new Galaxy S26 is officially out in the wild. And wow, the first hands-on reviews are already making some serious waves. So let's break down what's actually new here, and why this might just be the most interesting update we've seen from them in years.
I mean, check this out. The first reaction from one of the reviewers was, and I quote, "They shocked everyone." Now that's a pretty bold claim, right? So we've got to dig in and see if the S26 actually lives up to all that hype.
So we're going to focus on three key things that are getting all the attention. First, the totally redesigned look and feel of the phone. Second, this potentially game-changing new privacy display. And finally, some really clever camera upgrades that are about way more than just megapixels.
Okay, let's start with the very first thing you'd notice when you pick this phone up, the design. Samsung has made some real, tangible changes here, especially on that high-end Ultra model that you can literally feel.
So the biggest shift here is really in the whole philosophy of the design. You know those sharp, kind of boxy edges on the S25 Ultra? Yeah, those are gone. Samsung has rounded everything out for a much more comfortable feel in your hand. And look, it might sound like a small tweak, but apparently it makes a huge difference when you're actually using it every day.
But the changes don't stop there. They've actually switched from titanium back to armor aluminum for the frame. And those chunky camera rings from last year? Gone. They've been replaced by a much sleeker, more integrated design. Oh, and here's a weird little quirk for you. The S Pen now only goes in one way, so no more accidentally jamming it in upside down.
And you know what all these little tweaks add up to? A pretty significant result. This is the thinnest and lightest Galaxy Ultra that Samsung has ever made. We're talking just 7.9 millimeters thin. That's a difference you'll definitely feel the second you pick it up. But as cool as the new design is, it's not what people are really buzzing about. The one feature that everyone is calling the single biggest, most game-changing innovation here is something totally new for the display.
So what even is this privacy display? Well, it's not just some software filter you download. No, this is a feature that's baked directly into the hardware of the screen itself. It physically blocks people from seeing what's on your screen from the side. Just imagine a high-tech privacy screen protector that you can just turn on and off whenever you want.
And using it sounds super simple. You just dive into your settings, search for display privacy, and flip a switch. And for those times you need full-on security, there's a maximum protection mode that supposedly makes the screen look completely black if you're not looking at it straight on.
Now, here's the catch, and it's a big one. This amazing new privacy feature, it's only on the S26 Ultra. Yep, if you're thinking about the standard S26 or the S26 Plus, you're out of luck. Samsung is clearly using this as the big reason to get you to splurge on their top-of-the-line model. But of course, there's got to be a trade-off, right? While it's fantastic for keeping nosy people from looking over your shoulder, the reviewer did notice a small downside. When that privacy mode is on, the screen looks a little bit faded, even when you're looking right at it. So you do sacrifice a tiny bit of clarity to get that security.
Okay, moving on to the cameras. Samsung's taking a different route this year. They're not just chasing bigger and bigger megapixel numbers. Nope, the real story is all about the smarter hardware that's working behind the scenes.
So at first glance, the spec sheet might look a bit familiar.
It's still a 200 megapixel main camera and a 12 megapixel selfie camera, just like last year. But trust me, that doesn't even begin to tell the whole story.
The real upgrades are way more technical. There's a brand new periscope lens design. That's the magic that gives you that incredible zoom. On top of that, Samsung is claiming the telephoto lens is a whopping 37% brighter. In theory, that should mean way better zoom shots in low light and a huge boost to their nightography mode.
So what does that all mean for actual photos? Well, in a quick side-by-side comparison, the reviewer's verdict was the skin tone looks better, I guess. So it's not some dramatic, mind-blowing leap, but it does point to a more subtle, more natural processing, especially for how people look in photos. All right, let's pop the hood and talk about what's really running the show: performance and power. As we've come to expect, there's a split in the processors. The top dog S26 Ultra gets the beastly new Snapdragon 8 Gen 5 for Galaxy, while the standard S26 and the Plus models are going to run on Samsung's own Exynos 2600 chip. Same story for batteries, the Ultra gets the biggest one at 5,000 mAh. But you know what? There is one performance upgrade that everybody gets, and honestly, it's a big one. It all comes down to this number right here.
For the very first time, the entire S26 lineup supports 60-watt fast charging. That's a really nice jump up from the 45-watt speed we had on last year's models, and it just means less time tethered to a wall waiting for your phone to power up.
So when you put this all together, what's the big takeaway from this first hands-on? What's the final impression? Is this thing actually a worthy upgrade?
It really seems to boil down to three things. 1. The phone just plain feels better to hold. It's slimmer, lighter, more comfortable. 2. That privacy display isn't a gimmick. It's a real, genuinely useful innovation. And 3. This feels like a year of a lot of smart, small improvements, all crowned by that one massive, headline-grabbing feature.
And really, that brings us to the ultimate question you've got to ask yourself. Yeah, the phone is thinner, it's lighter, it's faster, sure. But the real story, the main event here, seems to be that privacy screen. So, is that one feature, that one revolutionary feature, enough to make you want to upgrade? That's the real question.